Hi there, and welcome to Reflections with Rhonda Jones and my co host, Monica Livingston. She's all nautical on us today. She's getting ready to get on her yacht ship when we finish the show and steer it to the Bimini Islands. And so, y'all wish her well. Fair winds and following seas to you, Monica. You know, that's funny.
I knew I was going to catch flag.
I
It was
did.
a birthday gift from a stepmom.
I really
so
like it. I know, I really do. I really do. But
It is a little nautical with the blue and white stripes.
yeah, but I think it was even in last year. But I didn't want to say anything until I said she looked awesome, and she does with it. But I didn't even want to hint around it about until we started the show. I wanted to give her that little zinger.
That's how she does me.
It's just a mother-in-law trick.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Kimberly and Ruthie are with us. Thank goodness, because they have a lot to bring to the table today. We're going to start off with me just scratching my head, not because I have bugs or anything, but the Paula Deen. Oh, by the way, we are sorry for being late. We do value your time, and we hope you stuck with us for the last few minutes. But anywho, I'm scratching my head only because, okay, they came to a settlement, Paula Deen lawsuit, and the Lisa Jackson person who was the plaintiff of the lawsuit. And why I'm scratching my head is this. This is a quote from Lisa Jackson. She said, "During a very difficult period in my life, the Dean family gave me hope and the opportunity to work to build a brighter future for me and my family. For my family and me, excuse me. I assumed that all of my complaints about the workplace environment were getting to Paula Deen, but I learned during this matter that this was not the case. The Paula Deen I have known for more than 8 years is a woman of compassion and kindness and will never tolerate discrimination or racism of any kind toward anyone." Does anybody have a problem with that other than me?
Sounds like conditions of the settlement to me.
I thought of that, but could be.
That was the first thing I thought of whenever I was like, boy, how much money did they give her to change that to?
Exactly. Or, she didn't get as much as she wanted, and so I don't know, but I think it's sad that Paula has had to endure so much crap from everybody. And the woman that brought all this against her and made it come to light is saying she is not a racist. She's not a person that discriminates. And I think, it's a pitiful shame.
Yeah.
My opinion. What do you think, Monica?
Well, I didn't read the article because it didn't come through on my phone.
Oh.
So it just said, Yahoo, but it didn't have the article attached. So I couldn't read it ahead of time. But just hearing that, not having read the article, yeah, it does kind of sound like either that she's kind of changed her tune a little bit, or that maybe she did actually learn this and
True.
she's apologizing. But it is sad that if that is the case, if the latter's the case, that Paula Deen did have to go through this stuff because, and all
Yeah.
this brought to light, and because the article wasn't about the settlement wasn't about, or the case wasn't about something Paula Deen had said directly,
Right.
but it was about events that happened in the restaurant and stuff. And so she would have never been questioned and never had to admit, like most of us would say, that at one time we've probably used that word, and we're sorry for it, but it's happened. But her being a public figure, and they can take it to, take her to the bank on it, and just take,
It's
her to the mud.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? The horror of this is that you can have something brought against you, and before it's even settled in court, and we talk about this all the time, and I say we as a nation don't judge somebody until they have their day in court. Well, Paula Deen was judged sentence levied against her and executed before this lawsuit even came out to the public
Tried by the media.
and tried by the media. And you know what? I think it's a shame. You know what? I want to say I'm livid about it in a way. I really do. I'm upset, and I'm just. It's not right, but it makes me think. You know, I do that too. You know, I'm no better than anyone else that has tried her because I do that as well. But what can we do to stop this, Ruthie?
Stand up for people's rights, that they're not guilty until a jury of their peers says they are, regardless of how bad it looks. Unless you were there and you actually saw it, you cannot say that's true. You just can't do it.
That's right. What about you, Kimberly?
Well, she did admit to saying what she said, but that was so blown out of proportion, it was ridiculous.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was kind of disgusted by it when I read the article that, you know, everything was settled out of court. The judge dropped the charges of racism.
Mhm.
That wasn't even an issue, never should have been an issue.
Right.
And then the rest of it was settled out of court. Now this woman is, oh, Paula Dean's wonderful. She'd never do this. And where was all that coming from? You know,
Right.
a few months ago when you basically destroyed her respect that she had. Well, not everybody, of course. There were people who had websites up and Facebook pages saying that Paula Dean was getting a bad
Yeah.
end of the stick. So
Yeah.
it's not the whole country, at least.
No, it's not. I would say the majority.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately,
But I mean,
it's probably
isn't-
true.
I mean, this happens with every time there's an incident, you know, not just with her or somebody saying something that they shouldn't say, but, you know, with the OJ trial, I mean, it was so publicized that people had, you know, opinions and knew he was guilty before he was tried or anything else, or knew he was not guilty, and it's like that
That's
with
true.
Trayvon Martin.
That's
I
true.
mean, it's just, as a culture, not we up
Yeah.
here, but we as a culture are so hungry for the latest gossip and the latest news that we'll jump on anything
Yeah.
and print it and tell it without, you know, verifying it and, you know, without their people having their day in court. And, you know, I mean, it is very sad because a lot of times it will ruin a person's life, you know, that is innocent, or, you know, maybe isn't completely innocent, but they didn't do what they've been accused of. Like in this
Right.
case, Paula Dean did use the word.
Yeah.
She admitted to it, but she did
Didn't know
seem
it was
like
wrong.
she was sorry for it. I can say the same thing. I've used it in the past. Am I sorry for it? Yes. You know, when you know better, you do better.
Mhm.
So, but
We,
I think we as a society are just too crazy about
Yeah.
the latest gossip and news.
yeah, we as a nation need to stop buying rag magazines. We need to start asking our reporters to report more good news than they do bad news. But that can't happen until the nation as a whole decides we want to hear the good stuff, not necessarily the bad stuff. I mean, you need to report a theft or a shooting, but you don't need to go into it for 3 or 4 days and try to bring in all of this stuff. You know, you need to try to find more good than you do bad. Otherwise, this nation will never, ever continue to grow. We'll go downhill and sink in the mud.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here. Absolutely. And I was going to say that I DVR'd the show that I like called The Soul Man with Cedric the Entertainer. And I think last night I got to watch them back to back, and because they were recorded, so I just watched them and skipped through the commercials. But on 2 separate shows, he referenced Paula Dean and her angry. You know, he made 2 jokes or comments about, you know, you're angrier than Paula Dean talking at the Apollo, or, you know, he made 2 comments about Paula Dean in 2 separate episodes. And according to the lawsuit, it sounds like that's really not her. You know, for the most part, it's just not her. And so I think, you know, Walmart, Sears, everybody. And I hope this woman makes $1 billion without Walmart, without Sears, without Kmart. I hope she comes back bigger and better and just takes it to the top. again. I
Yeah.
do. I really do. And I think she can survive the storm. And she can, you know, we all had a conversation about race when this happened, and that's good. We still need to have conversations about race because it's not perfect yet. And so if that's what came out of it, that's good. Let's just keep talking more positively about that.
Right.
Okay.
And not only that, but you know, I mean, the conversation needs to be expanded because, it was blacks who were treated unfairly, it was women that, weren't allowed to vote, and now we're still dealing with, even though they've now finally passed the law against the DOMA,
Yeah.
defeated DOMA. But it's still an issue, and that's one of our stories that we have today.
Yeah. Good segue.
The stories about the family that attended a church in Collegedale, Tennessee, I believe. I'm going to pull it up here.
I think so. Sounds
Yeah.
like Tennessee.
Yeah,
Something
the
Tennessee
family
would be.
was banned from a church that they went to for over 60 years. The Collegedale is the first city in Tennessee to offer same-sex benefits. What had happened is that a woman who was on the police force, 11-year police force detective, had finally was one of the lead people in helping to push through getting the benefits for same-sex partners, marriages, for their spouses. And after winning these benefits, the mom was pulled into a private meeting after a Sunday service and told that she had to either leave the church or get up and repent of her sins for, supporting her daughter, basically. And she basically left. She told him she wasn't gonna, not support her child. And
Wasn't it like, even though I may not condone this lifestyle, I'm going to support my child unconditionally? I think that was her feelings. I'm not saying the mom was really for same-sex, marriage or benefits or
Right.
anything, but she said, I will love my child and support my child unconditionally.
right. And basically that's what she said. And the lady, Kat Cooper, who was the police detective, it was her mother who was asked to leave the church. She said, my mother was up here and sat beside me during those proceedings that she went through in court to get the rights. And she said, that's it. Her mother sat beside her. Her mother wasn't up there,
Right.
lobbying. Her mother just sat beside her and showed support. And because of that, I found it funny that it seems like they singled out just the mom. And they told her they could repent of their sins and ask forgiveness in front of the whole congregation, or they could leave the church.
Well, I'd say y'all need to hold y'all's breath before.
Yeah,
until I
y'all hold
repent.
y'all's breath. I'll go talk to my husband and I'll be back.
Hold your breath.
And it's just, it's sad to see this still going on. But it is, and it will continue to go on,
Yeah.
And there was another article that was similar to this one in Nature, not because somebody got banned from a church. We know churches have their stand on what they feel. And if you're in that church, even if you might feel differently, you can't express that, or you'll be asked to leave, asked not to teach, asked not to, work with the children, asked not to, talk with anybody during fellowships. I don't know. But, I can see it going on,
Mhm.
Here they are, they have a child that is gay. They want to love their child regardless of how, they feel or don't feel. The mother never said, from 100% what they endorsed, but, it's just, I don't know.
I was going to ask Ruthie, back in the day, did when you were involved in a certain denomination, a church, did they ever have any type of thing that, if someone was involved in this or living this lifestyle, did they ever try to excommunicate or shun or anything?
No, the only thing that went on that I disagreed with and I didn't keep quiet about it, was we had a teacher of teenagers from 12 to 16 or something, and she was a marvelous teacher. All the kids loved her. One of the boys in the class was baptized, and she could no longer teach that class because she would be usurping a man's authority.
Oh.
And yes, no, that's true. That's a true story.
One of her students now was a man since he'd been baptized?
Yes, he was no
Okay.
longer a child. He was now a man because he was baptized.
Did they have an age limit on when you could be baptized? Because what if it was a 5-year-old?
Well, no, at the age of accountability, and I never did find out what that was.
You never will because it's not in the Bible.
I know that. I know that's a
Might be in
church
the
thing.
bylaws,
Yeah.
though, so.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, there's probably some
Yeah.
church
But,
bylaws there.
Not only was she devastated, but so were her students, you know.
Imagine.
And it almost caused a rift. A
Sure.
lot
Wow.
a lot of people was upset about that. And to me, you know, and like I say, I wasn't quite mouse, but I let them know that I didn't think that was fair. What they should have done, if they didn't want her to teach him, put him in another class and let her
Or-
teach
yeah.
the rest.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
they not have a men's class
Yeah,
this
be such a
man
man.
could be in?
Well, of course.
Okay.
That's right.
All of the teenagers who were baptized had a male teacher. That was just a rule of the church. You could have female teachers as long as they were under the age of accountability. And I know a person that was allowed to be baptized at age 9. So maybe age 9 is the age of
You're a man,
accountability.
okay.
Maybe it's more than that. I don't know. But anyway,
Wow.
Wow.
That's like one of those wows.
Yes.
Right? Kimberly?
That's crazy. Who sits around and makes this crap up? The men, apparently.
Sounds like it.
I'm presuming this was a while back and things have possibly improved since
Well,
then.
I'm not sure about that, but
Oh, okay.
it was a number of years ago. It was while I still lived in Idaho, and I've been away from there for a while, so
So
But,
would you say 10 years, 15? No, you've been
15,
15
20 years, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
But more than likely, it's still along the same
I'd say
lines.
20
because-
years ago doesn't seem far enough back for that kind of
Yeah,
archaic
well,
thinking.
No, it doesn't.
Well, yeah, some of the elders are no longer around. They've gone to their rewards. And the minister there is no longer there. They've had a couple since then. And the last time I was there and attended this church, their preacher was preaching some things that I'd never heard from people in this congregation before, like we're all seated in the heavenly places, and that had never ever been taught, you know. So I think they're changing, and I understand that they have a different preacher now. I don't know what he's teaching, but that he's more full of energy and stuff. I didn't go while I was there visiting, but
Yeah.
that's
One
what
thing
I
that I
heard.
did read in that article was that the Church of Christ denomination or whatever isn't like having, I mean, it's not like the Southern Baptist Convention where they have the main ruling body
Right.
of all the churches. They're more independent.
Right,
You know,
right.
they fall under one category of being Church of Christ, but they don't have like a headship like the.
And so this was
Right.
the Church of Christ congregation in
Yeah,
this
in
article?
Tennessee.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
each church handles things the way they want to. Somebody in the next town can't tell them how to do what they're
And
doing.
apparently the minister of this church said this is an in-church private issue, and because emotions are so inflamed at this point, they chose not to comment any further, and that the church is overseen by all elders. I am a minister, not a pastor, and therefore I do not have the authority to speak further on this. And then he said the news is getting mixed reviews. Of course it's getting mixed reviews because you have all the super indoctrinated people that are like, you know, burning hell bags. I mean, that's what they believe.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who actually believe people are people, you know, and they're going to love who they're going to love, and everybody should have the right to live, love, pursuit of happiness, that whole thing in our Constitution. And so, yeah, you're going to have mixed reviews. You're going to have people that are for and against, and
On
It's got to be
anything.
publicized.
Well,
Yeah.
I wonder if they would have done the same thing had someone's child gone on trial for murder or for burglary, armed robbery or something, and the parents stood up and supported that child. Would they have been asked to leave the church too?
Good point.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, you know, I mean, where's the line drawn? Just because they're, you know, same-sex couple?
Yeah,
You
because
know?
cause they
And
they
it
would
wasn't
think
even the
that, too.
same-sex couple that was asked to leave the church. And
Right.
one lady made a comment about it. She's saying it shouldn't be the family. I mean, if the same-sex couple goes there and the church doesn't want them to go, you know, if they want to ask them to leave, but asking the family to leave,
It was
you
an
know,
extended
Yeah.
family too, an aunt and uncle
Yeah.
asked to leave, and
basically the whole family that went there that had been going there 60 years.
I hope everyone walks
I'd have probably
out.
walked out there like, here goes my money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Okay.
cut up.
Yeah.
You know me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you're a good girl.
You know, I talk big. I don't usually
No,
cut
you're
up that
good.
bad.
Yeah, okay. Kimberly, you have an article that you sent this week about praising children.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
that was
was-
very interesting.
I gotta get it off my Kindle because I don't want to misquote something. This was from, let's find the on button. A really good website. If anybody's interested in piano lessons, it's free piano lessons for kids.com, I think.
PianoParents.com.
Well, that's where the blog spot is, but the person that wrote the blog he's a piano teacher and he has online lessons for kids for free.
Very nice.
You can buy like worksheets and stuff to go with it, but it's 40 different lessons. He says just because he loves the piano and he wants to offer it up so kids have a chance, and for some reason this isn't coming up.
Mind
There
if
we go.
Get that for you later.
Okay. The question was not should you praise your kids, because you have people that will say you shouldn't even praise your kids, and that's a whole other thing. Well, that's I can kind of see to a point. That's the unconditional parenting movement, and Alfie Kahn kind of started that with, if you praise them too much, they start doing what they're doing to get the praise, whereas they should do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, you know, I don't see a problem with telling somebody they did a good job.
Right.
So I don't tell my children good boy or good girl like they're my puppy, but you know, if I praise, I do it specifically. You did a good job on this. I like how this looks. At any rate, this guy was saying the difference between telling your kids, hey, you're smart, and hey, you did a good job, or you tried hard. And the article says that when you tell a kid, hey, you must be smart, that's fixed. That's not something that's in their control. They're born smart, you're born pretty. That's something you have no control over. Whereas if you say, you tried hard, you did good, that's something the child can control. So they did a test, and 400 fifth graders took a series of IQ tests. They got their score, and right down the middle, half of them were told, you must be smart. And the other half were told, you must have tried really hard, okay, to get these scores. Now, they were offered the test again. When they were, 90% of the ones that were told they must have worked hard asked for a harder test. They wanted to be challenged, okay? The majority of the ones who were told they were smart asked for an easier test. They were given the same test.
They wanted to stay
Right,
with
they
that
didn't-
idea of them in the people's heads that I'm
Right,
smart.
they want, I'm smart, I want to continue to be viewed that way.
Yeah.
Right, whereas the ones that were told they worked hard
Yeah, they have
wanted
nothing
to be
to
challenged.
lose, really.
Exactly,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly. And same test.
Hmm.
The overall, the ones that were told they tried hard improved their score by 30%. Same test. Ones that were told they were smart, the score decreased 20%.
And it was saying in there that, you know, it goes along with this, the kids that want to, like you said, remain smart. They want to be viewed as smart. They want to seem intelligent. So when something new comes up and it's a challenge to them, they're scared to take on new things because
Right.
they're scared of exposing that I'm not smart at this,
As
or
you-
I'm
yeah.
not good
Right.
at this. Whereas if you praise them for working hard, they're always going to try hard, and they're probably going to try
See
harder.
value in it.
That's
So-
true. You know, I've never seen anyone that is smart at everything.
No.
You know, so that's, you know, to say you're smart, you know, it's very subjective depending on the course you're taking or what you do in life or what you just, and so nobody's smart at everything. I don't care if you think you are. I'm telling you to FYI it, you're not. You're not. Nobody's smart at everything. I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
But
You're just
everybody
not.
can learn.
That's right.
Even if it's a challenge, even someone who's mentally challenged can learn. And everybody
Exactly.
can try and improve themselves.
Right, and so, at first, until you explained that article to me, because I wasn't smart enough to figure it out, I understand what they were doing now, and that makes a lot of sense.
I don't think it's bad to tell your kid you're smart,
No,
as long as you're backing it up with giving, like, I liked the quote here, where they said, emphasizing effort gives a child a variable they can control. They see themselves in control of their success. If you emphasize natural intelligence, that's not in the child's control and doesn't give them a way to respond to failure.
right, well, that's
true.
That makes a lot of sense to me, it really does. I think I have a problem with thinking that, you're born smart. I think you can evolve to be smart.
Sure.
I really do. I've seen it in people, and I do believe that, we're all born with different, maybe thresholds, like as far as we could go,
Right.
but we're all, have the capacity to be smart.
Yeah,
I believe
to
that.
increase our knowledge
We
and,
do,
and even if it's just in one area that you can excel in,
Right.
you can learn as much as you can learn in that one area, and maybe not be an expert at it, but you can become knowledgeable about it. Smart.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Good article.
Yeah.
That brings up a lot of good discussion, I think. So, what we take away from that is what, Kimberly? What's your
If-
advice? Tell the
if-
camera out there.
If you're going to praise your child, do it specifically and for something that they are in control of. Like, and to be honest, this can sometimes backfire too, because it backfired on me. When when I tell my kids I like something, or they show me something, hey, I drew this, I try to find something positive about it, to say, hey, I like this because I don't want to be, oh, I like this. Well, I want to let them know that I am looking at it, I'm interacting with them, and I always try to ask them, what do you like about it? Just to
Oh, that's
to
good.
talk about it with them. Okay, well, my oldest son plays the guitar, and he would play me a new song, and he would say, what do you think? And I would try to find what I liked about it and tell him. Okay, well, after a while, he said, look, I'm going to ask Dad, because he'll tell me what's wrong with it so I can make it better.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. All right. Because he was looking for constructive criticism, and I wasn't giving him that.
Right. One of our children, and I won't tell you which one it is, y'all might can figure
Okay.
him out, but he almost hates it when we go over the top with him and say, we love you so much, you're so this, you're so that, and, he would rather us tell him not really negative things, but look,
You
this
could
is where
improve.
yes,
Mhm.
or even this is where you screwed up, even though when I tried to tell him that the other day, I don't think he liked it too much.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we know who it is now.
I don't understand. You wanted to be criticized. Life of a parent, but
Yeah.
and I understand where he's coming from about this. It's not fake when we tell him all these things, but if you're going to improve on anything, you've got to know your shortcomings. You
Right.
do.
Sure.
It's
Right.
hard to improve just on your own, and everybody has room for improvement, and that's why we have quality inspections. I mean, that's like saying we don't want to tell your the FDA where they can improve on the quality of meat coming in to Walmart. We have to quality check it and say, hey, I think you're doing something wrong at this slaughterhouse or whatever. And it's a horrible example because it's so sad, and that's all. But then we can't fix it unless you find the problem, problem solving. So,
Yeah, and kids are resilient, and you can tell them, I don't understand why you did this, or is this supposed to be this way, or what did you mean by this? And
that's true.
they're not going to be damaged if you're constructively critical, not hateful, but
Exactly. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. And they're not. They bounce back. Just like a rubber ball. Monica, you have something about a guy from a TV show.
Yeah, actually, this is from a TV show that I used to watch, or watched. It's no longer on. It's called Prison Break, and it's
Oh my
this-
God.
it was a good show.
Prison Break. This is about a woman's prison or what?
No, it was about a guy who got unfairly sent to prison. He was framed, and his brother was a genius, basically. And in his genius, he devised a plan to get put in prison and then break
Break
him
his
and his
brother
brother out.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
But, I mean, and then help prove his innocence. So it was a good show.
Sounds like it.
Anyways, they didn't have all of them on TV. They ended up eventually having them, some of them were just like, they released the last, I believe. But anyways, back to the man and not the show. He is an actor, and he recently wrote a letter to the St. Petersburg International Film Festival, and the letter suggests that he had been invited as a guest of honor to an event in Russia, and this is basically what he wrote. As someone who has enjoyed visiting Russia in the past and can also claim a degree of Russian ancestry, it would make me happy to say yes. However, as a gay man, I must decline. He went on and talked later in the note. He says, I'm deeply troubled by the current attitude towards the treatment of gay men and women by the Russian government. The situation is in no way acceptable, and I cannot, in good conscience, participate in a celebratory occasion hosted by a country where people like myself are being systematically denied their basic right to live and love openly. Perhaps when circumstances improve, I'll be free to make a different choice. Now, those were pieces of the letter. I don't know if that was the letter entirely, because it is broke up in this article. But
Let me ask you this: was he gay before he went to prison, or did that happen? Oh, it's not a
She's a
reality.
mess.
It's not a reality series.
no, it's not a reality series.
Okay. Poor guy.
But
Oh.
anyways, he
He
that is when
declined.
he came out. He confirmed that he was gay in
Did-
this
in this letter.
letter,
Wow.
because he did it for a purpose,
Good for
to
him.
speak, to the Russian government. And Kimberly was mentioning about the athletes.
yeah, I didn't confirm that, but there's a protest of having the Olympics in Russia because of their attitude.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I didn't look into it enough to confirm, but I have read people saying that there is a movement to have the Olympics moved to a different, more accepting country.
Well, to me, that's a little
That seems over the
hypocritical.
top, but
Well, but I mean, we've had the Olympics in our country for, I don't know, 60 years. I don't know, but longer than that. But we haven't been accepting of lifestyles of the people that, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, and then
What's
and-
up with that?
Okay, and I may be just making this up.
Taking it from my.
It's all right.
But didn't we have an Olympics in Germany, and African American just blew away and that was
Mhm.
during a time when the Germans were very
Mhm.
racist, and I think it
Yeah.
actually proved a point. So
Yeah.
I don't think that we need to necessarily move the Olympics as much as, take a stand there.
Right. I think you're exactly right. And like Dr. Jones was saying the other day, we were talking about this, and I had just heard bits and pieces of it. He said that initially, the Olympics weren't always just only about sports. It was about all these countries coming together that were different, trying to, get along peacefully, and bringing the strengths of, your athletes with ours, and, just bringing everybody together. I'm not going to say it's like the United Nations, but maybe better. So it's good to have a conversation about this. But if you chose to have the Olympics, or the committee did in Russia, you knew about them to start with, probably. That's where you should have them. And, what better place to go and make a statement, like you were saying, than to go to these and
As long as it's
say your
safe to
thing.
do so, as long as they're
Right.
not going to be harmed.
Right.
I mean, I know there's not 100% way to guarantee that, but as long as, they have some kind of statement from the government itself, because it is the government that, is having the issue in
Right.
Russia, not just the people, but the actual government. And so as long as they could promise that they wouldn't be anything that they would do, like
Right.
imprison the people, or, anything that would cause harm or
Mhm.
problems for these athletes. I would think that they should go ahead and have it there, and like you said, let it be a stand that they take, that, you know, this is larger than, you know, this issue, and these are athletes, these are people, you know, they have things to contribute, and, you know.
Yeah, because I'm gonna really miss the figure skating competition. That happens. What, Ruthie? What? This is, you know, it's the truth.
We should be tolerant of the way other people think, you know.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
And sometimes it's hard to take a stand, especially like with the different countries and stuff, because there's so much hatred going on between different countries. I'm not saying between Russia and America, but different countries.
Right.
And you don't want to do anything that would add to this hatred. And so we need to be tolerant and try to come to an understanding that would make things work out to the best of everybody. And of course, governments don't do that, but
Wouldn't that be nice? But you know, the way I look at it too is, you know, this is Russia's baby, and if that's how they believe, you know, not that I believe that, but that's how they believe, and you just have to deal with it. I'm sorry, this is their country, this is how they believe, and it's like if we went to Afghanistan and had the Olympics or whatever, you know, women have to cover their heads. The women would cover their heads, and so when you go to Russia, don't hold your boyfriend's hand or kiss your girlfriend during the, you know, boxing match. Am I making?
yes, you're making sense. Yes.
Oh, goodness.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
She's lost it.
But you know, that's Russia's
Right.
business. Bob, help me
Sure,
out.
Sure. Well, yeah. If you're winning Rome, you.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
the Romans do.
That's right.
That's
you,
right.
You mean you go into the situation knowing that's the situation,
That's right.
and you just deal. And if the athletes want to protest, I think like the gentleman who refused to go to the award ceremony, I thought the letter was excellent.
Beautiful.
It wasn't derogatory toward them or in any way hateful. And if there are athletes that are of that persuasion and want to say, hey, I'm not going to go for this reason, that's their decision.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, we are needing to wrap it up, even though we started a little bit late. We always like to abide, since this is the greatest show on our network, we do like to abide by the rules and regulations of our producer. And so we respect him, and we will abide by the 150 mark. So we will see you next week, and
I always leave them wanting more anyway.
oh, good, yeah.
Leave the
yeah.
audience wanting more, so yeah.
There you go. You heard it from Kimberly. Leave the audience wanting more. And we hope that you do. We hope that we have brought you some information and some things to think about. And we like to have fun and joke along the way. And so, all right, Mo.
Yeah, we haven't grown up yet.
We haven't. Okay, well, Mo's going to shove off. So we love y'all, and we'll see you next week. Oi. I love you.